I never thought I'd be the guy posting this kind of stuff, but here I am. My name's Jake, and I've been with my wife Emily for about 8 years now. We got married young, had a pretty good run of it, at least that's what I thought. We had our ups and downs, sure, but I always believed in us. She was the kind of girl who seemed to have it all together. Smart, beautiful, confident, and honestly a little bitchy sometimes. But I loved her, or at least I thought I did. Things started feeling off a few months ago. Small things at first. She was more distant, spending more time out with her friends, coming home late, and always with that weird look on her face like she was hiding something. I didn't want to be paranoid, so I brushed it off. But then I noticed she was deleting messages from her phone more than usual, hiding her screen when I'd walk into the room. I'd catch her glancing at her phone with this nervy, guilty look that made my gut twist. Despite all that, I never really caught her outright cheating. I just had a sense, like a bad feeling in my gut that keeps growing. I'd ask her about it and she'd toss her hair, roll her eyes, and act like I was crazy. "You're just paranoid," she'd say. "Stop being so insecure." She'd laugh it off, make me feel stupid for even questioning her loyalty. But there was this feeling inside me that I couldn't shake, like I was missing something really big. Then, out of nowhere, everything blew up. I got a text late one night from her phone when I was in bed. I'd been working late and I was just about to fall asleep when I glanced over at her phone on the nightstand. The screen lit up with a message from someone I didn't recognize, something about "can't wait to see you again tonight," and an emoji that made my stomach turn. I froze. My heart started pounding. I didn't click on it right away. I just stared at the message like I was waiting for some sign that this was all a joke, a mistake. But deep down I knew there was no mistake. My wife Emily had been cheating on me with her best man. Yeah, her best man, Jason. I found out from that single text, and the moment I saw it, everything else just shattered. I mean, I've been with her for so long and I thought I knew her inside out. Turns out she's been lying for months, maybe longer. She's been hiding this affair right under my nose and I was just too blind to see it. I felt like I'd been hit in the chest with a sledgehammer. My stomach churned, my head spun. I couldn't believe it. The woman I trusted, the woman I loved, was sleeping with someone I considered part of my circle, and I never suspected a thing. I stayed up that night, staring at her phone screen, trying to process what I'd just seen. The message was recent, maybe an hour old. I felt this mix of disbelief and rage boiling inside me. How long had she been doing this? Was it just this one time, or had it gone on for months? I kept going over every little sign, every suspicious glance, every lie she told. And then I remembered the little things I had ignored. The late nights, the strange calls, her being overly defensive whenever I asked about her whereabouts. I knew I needed to confront her. I couldn't keep pretending I didn't know. My hands were trembling as I gently took her phone and went into the living room. I was so furious, but I also felt sick, like I was about to throw up. I sat on the couch, my mind racing, and I pressed her name into the message thread. I didn't even hesitate, I just clicked open. And there it all was, plain as day. Dozens of texts, photos, plans for secret meetups. I saw her telling him she missed him, that she couldn't wait to see him again, that she loved how he made her feel alive. When I woke her up the next morning, I didn't hold back. I told her exactly what I'd seen. Her reaction was something I'll never forget. She looked at me with this dismissive, bitchy smirk like I was some kind of fool for being upset. "Oh, come on, Jake," she said, rolling her eyes. "It's not what you think. That's just sex. It doesn't mean anything." She dismissed it so casually, like cheating was just a minor inconvenience. She even had the nerve to say, "You're overreacting. It's just some fun, a distraction, nothing serious." I felt my blood boil. How could she be so cold? How could she lie so easily? I couldn't even find words to respond at first. All I knew was that my heart was breaking. My trust, my love, everything I believed in was being shredded right in front of me. I asked her how long she'd been doing this, and she shrugged. "Since before we got married, I guess. It's not like you're perfect either," she spat back with that nasty, bitchy attitude. Like somehow she was justified in cheating because I wasn't a flawless husband. That made me feel even more sick. I remember feeling so many things that day: anger, betrayal, sadness, confusion. Nothing made sense anymore. I was angry at her for the lies, for sneaking around behind my back. I was hurt because I loved her even now despite everything. And I was furious at myself for not seeing it earlier. How could I have been so blind? How could I have trusted her after all the signs? I kept thinking about all the moments I defended her, all the times I argued that I was crazy for suspecting her, and now I saw how wrong I'd been. Everything I thought I knew about her, about us, was a lie. After that confrontation, things didn't just settle down. They exploded. I couldn't just sit there and pretend it was some bad joke or a misunderstanding. I needed a plan, a way to get some clarity and, honestly, some damn revenge. I started digging into her phone more, looking for evidence, messages, anything that could give me a clearer picture of how deep this went. I found out she'd been sneaking around for months, probably since before we even got married. It wasn't some one-night stand. She had this whole affair with Jason, her best man, as if they'd planned it from the start. I had to figure out what I was going to do. I couldn't just walk away without making her hurt as much as she'd hurt me. That's when I started to think about how to take back some control. I wasn't just going to be her fool anymore. I wanted to make her regret ever crossing that line. So I decided to play the long game. I set up some more evidence, took screenshots of all the sexy, intimate texts she'd sent him, and even found a few of them together in her apartment, caught on security footage I managed to hack into. It was brutal, but I needed to see everything clearly. Meanwhile, Emily kept lying, calling me paranoid, accusing me of being insecure. She told me I was overreacting, that it was just sex, and nothing serious, which made my blood boil. She acted like I was the one crazy for being upset. She even had the nerve to call me jealous, jealous of her having a little fun, as if I was supposed to be okay with her sleeping with her best man behind my back. I could see her bitchy attitude in full force, like she was entitled to cheat and lie because she thought she was better than me. That only made me more determined to make her pay. I took a step back and started to think about what I actually wanted. Did I want to save this marriage, or was it beyond repair? Honestly, I was leaning toward revenge, even if I wasn't sure how to execute it yet. I wasn't about to let her get away with this without some kind of lesson. I wanted her to feel what I felt: betrayed, humiliated, broken. I wasn't just going to walk out. I wanted her to see that I wasn't some fool she could use and discard. That night, I stayed up late, planning every move, every way to expose her and make her regret ever cheating on me with her own best man. I knew I had to be strategic. If I was going to do this, I had to do it right. The next few days were a whirlwind. I was walking around like a ghost, barely sleeping, constantly thinking about how I was going to strike back. I knew I had to be careful. I didn't want to just blow up everything without a plan. So I kept gathering evidence, making copies of all their dirty messages and photos, sneaking around to find out when she'd be alone, when she'd let her guard down. I even installed a hidden camera in her car, just to see if she'd do anything suspicious when I wasn't around. I was obsessed. Every time I saw her with that bitchy smirk, I just felt this burning desire to make her hurt like she hurt me. One night I finally found my opening. I discovered she'd made plans to meet Jason again, this time at a hotel, and she'd told him she was ready for the next step. I couldn't believe it. She was planning to cheat again, right in front of my face. That was the moment I knew I had to act. I wasn't just going to confront her anymore. I was going to expose her in front of everyone. I wanted her to feel all the embarrassment she'd tried to hide from me. The plan was simple but brutal. I took all the evidence I'd collected, those texts, photos, the hotel confirmation, everything, and I made a detailed slideshow. I also called a few of her closest friends, people I knew she'd listen to. I told them everything: how she'd been lying, cheating, sneaking around behind my back for months. I told them I was planning to confront her in front of everyone to make sure her true colors came out. The reactions were intense. Some people were angry at her for being such a bitch. Others told me I was right to be furious. But most importantly, I prepared myself for what was coming. The night of the confrontation finally arrived. I kept my cool, played it calm and collected, and when she came home from her meeting, I told her I knew everything. Her face went pale for a second, then she tried to deny it, say I was crazy, that I was overreacting. But I didn't let her get away with it. I pulled out my phone, showed her the slideshow, and played all the messages, all the evidence of her sneaking around with Jason. I could see her bitchy attitude fade into panic. She started stammering, crying, trying to lie her way out, but I had her cornered. There was no way she could deny what she'd done. Her reaction was everything I expected. She called me a jealous idiot, accused me of being insecure, and kept insisting that I just didn't understand her. She said she loved me, but she needed to feel alive or some bullshit like that. That was when I lost it. All that anger, betrayal, heartbreak, I just snapped. I told her she was a lying, cheating bitch who didn't deserve my love or respect anymore. I told her she broke everything I believed in, and I was done. I wasn't going to let her keep living her lie while I stayed stupidly loyal. I told her it was over and I was leaving her that night. After I dropped the bomb, there was this tense silence in the room, like the air had been sucked out. Emily looked stunned, her bitchy smirk wiped clean, replaced with this wide-eyed, panicked look. She kept trying to deny it, saying I must have misunderstood, that she loved me, that Jason was just a phase, whatever excuse she could come up with. But I wasn't buying it anymore. I'd seen too much, learned too much. All her lies, all her manipulations. I was finally done. I packed a bag that night, not even caring about leaving behind the house I'd worked so hard to get. I just needed to get away from her, from the betrayal, from the sickening feeling that I'd wasted years on someone who never truly loved me. I called a friend, told him what was happening, and he helped me find a place to stay. I didn't want her to think she could manipulate her way back into my life after. All this, I made that clear. This was the end of the line for us. Once I was out, I started to process everything. The shock, the sadness, the anger, everything hit me all at once. I kept replaying her lying about everything, her bitchy attitude, her trying to pretend she was innocent. It hurt like hell knowing I'd been so blind for so long. But at the same time, I felt this strange sense of relief. For the first time in months, I could breathe. No more secrets, no more lies, no more walking on eggshells wondering if she'd cheat again. I realized I deserved better than that. The fallout was brutal. She tried to call me, begged me to come back, said she'd changed, typical manipulative crap. But I wasn't falling for it. I blocked her everywhere. I wanted her to feel the loss, to understand how deeply she'd screwed up. Some friends told me I was justified, that she got what she deserved. Others said I should try to forgive and forget. But I knew deep down that trust, once broken like that, is impossible to repair. I didn't want to be some fool chasing a love that was dead. Now I'm just trying to rebuild. It's been a few weeks and I won't lie, I still feel the sting of betrayal. But I've learned a lot. I've learned that some people are just selfish, manipulative, and unfaithful, no matter how much they talk about love and loyalty. And I've learned that I need to put myself first, to stop ignoring the red flags and trust my gut. If there's one thing I'd tell anyone in a similar situation, it's this: don't let yourself be a pawn in someone else's game. Trust is fragile, and once it's broken, it's damn hard to get back. But at least now I know my worth, and that's worth more than any betrayal. Looking back, I realize that this whole experience has changed me, maybe permanently. I used to think that trust was the foundation of everything, but now I see that sometimes people are just too toxic to salvage. Emily's betrayal taught me a brutal lesson. Don't ignore the signs, and don't let anyone treat you like a fool. You can't control what others do, but you can control how you respond. And I choose to walk away from the lies, the deceit, and the heartbreak. I still get angry sometimes, especially when I remember how she looked at me with that bitchy smirk like she had won some game. But I also feel a strange sense of liberation. I'm finally free from her manipulations and her lies. The pain is still there, sure, but it's duller now, replaced by a quiet resolve. I won't let someone else's betrayal define me or ruin my life. Instead, I focus on rebuilding, on finding myself again, and on trusting that someday I'll find someone who's worth my love, someone who isn't a lying, selfish bitch like Emily. To anyone out there going through something similar, trust your instincts. Don't let them gaslight you into thinking you're crazy. The truth might be ugly, but it's better than living in a lie. Cut out the toxicity, no matter how much it hurts at first, and never settle for someone who doesn't deserve your loyalty. Because at the end of the day, your happiness and self-respect matter more than any betrayal. That's something I've finally learned, and I hope others can too.